Pitching for the Blue Devils this game, number 24, Clover Brandt. Leading off for the Cardinals, number 27, Abby Baker.
Welcome into LTSN's coverage of college softball. The Blue Devils hoping to make it 2 of 2 today against Concordia as the WAC season gets underway on a lovely Saturday afternoon here in Wixom, Michigan. Pleasure to have you with us. I'm Jason Ross Jr. If the drama of Game 1 is any indication of how good Game 2 could be, then we're in for a pretty good one. LTU won Game 1 by way of a walk-off 2-run single from their catcher, Haley Mazon, who has been spectacular over the past couple of weeks. Mazon is back behind the dish today. In the circle for the Blue Devils to start this one off. And it'll be the freshman, Elise Coulthard. Beg your pardon, Clover Brandt getting the start today for LTU in Game 2. The Owasso, Michigan native, a part of a retooled pitching staff for Lawrence Tech that replaced 3 seniors from a season ago as Corinne Claypool steps into the batter's box for Concordia. Getting second in game number 2, the left fielder. Clayford hitting .426 entering today. Takes the ball up in the zone. A rise ball from Clover Brandt, a part of her arsenal, or you can see her move the ball around each quadrant to the strike zone pretty frequently. Keep hitters off balance. Goes back to the rise ball. One down here in the top of the first, game number 2 between the Blue Devils and the Cardinals. LTU now 1-0 in conference play. Cardinals 0-1 in WAC action. The Blue Devils coached by head coach Karen Baird, who told me just a few minutes ago that a part of the resiliency that you saw in game number 1 when Lawrence Tech went down 4-0 is we get a pop-up, shy center field. It'll get down for a base hit and maybe more. Off the bat, that time of Corinne Clayford, who slides in with a double. Getting back to my point, head coach Karen Baird on Lawrence Tech's side said that we've been down for the vast majority of the season early in games. And a freshman who's in the 9 spot today in the Lawrence Tech lineup, Elizabeth Kuhn, kind of reiterated the same sentiment. Meanwhile, Emma Perioski, one of the lefties in the Concordia lineup, steps up to the plate. Plenty of power in her bat. One of the team captains for Concordia as well, a senior from Southfield, Michigan, at Southfield Christian High School, with a runner in scoring position here. Takes a cut and fouls it off to the left. Two strikes now on Perioski. Who was a former pitcher herself back during her high school days at Southfield Christian. Pitched her senior year, then reverted back to her true first baseman role as she entered college. It's a high pop-up that'll get up and out of play. Perioski awaits the 0-2 and fans on it. It's now 2 down here in the top of the first. We were scoreless. Well, I should say Concordia was up 1-0 entering the 4th inning of game number 1 before a 3-run homer gave them a bit of a cushion at 4-0, but it was a cushion that wasn't held for very long. Bottom of the 5th, LTU answered right back. Mazon had a 3-run homer of her own after Lawrence Tech scored a run in the 4th and then knotted things up at 4 apiece. Still in the very early stages of this one. Up to bat now for Concordia is Shannon McCallendon, the freshman from Riverview. A player who provides some nice flexibility defensively for Concordia. They can kind of move her around the infield. Good utility player. McCallendon with a runner in scoring position, but 2 down, has come up with some big spots so far this season for Concordia. Went around there, and that'll retire the side. So a nice, efficient start in the circle so far for Clover Brents, the 5'9" freshman. Scoreless after half an inning. You're watching softball on LTSN. Welcome back into LTSN. Sarah Hyde leading things off as per usual on the Lawrence Tech side. When you think of Sarah Hyde, you think of consistency and getting on base. As she takes a rise ball for ball 1, coming from the freshman pitcher Cassidy Kane, who steps into the circle for game 2 on the Concordia side of things. They really want her attacking the strike zone, and she finds her first strike of the afternoon on her second pitch of game number 2. Evens the count at 1 apiece. Hyde with a .533 on base percentage, best on the team. Cranks one to short, and it squeaks through the wickets that time of the infielder Abby Begley. And Mazon, I beg your pardon, Hyde reaches, as we mentioned she usually does. Let's see if that goes down as an error. That brings up Nicole Peruzic, batting second today in the LTU lineup, drops down a bunt that dies foul. The art of small ball is not lost, evidently. Trying to move Hyde over, who has wonderful speed on the base paths. Once she gets on, she puts pressure on you as a pitcher as well. 8 for 8 in stolen base attempts so far this season. The Northville, Michigan native at first base right now. As you see, Peruzic tried to drop down the bunt once again there. Peruzic making her 10th start of the season. Has really come into her own freshman year. Another bunt. Gonna roll as foul. The work ethic, her positive attitude, and just the mentality of being all about the team is what you associate with Nicole Peruzic. Getting 176 entering today. Two balls, two strikes on Peruzic. Count remains 2-2. Lawrence Tech now at 8-6 on the season, 1-0 in conference play. Concordia dropped to 500 after the loss earlier today to Lawrence Tech, now 12-12 on the year. Long at bat brewing here for Peruzic. It's a part of her MO as well, just a tough at bat. And these are tough outs at the top of the Lawrence Tech order. Speaking of tough outs, Haley Mazon is on deck right now. Hit the walk-off two-run single to give Lawrence Tech a 5-4 win in game number 1. This is lofted to right field. Long run made there, and the catch from Sarah Tyrell for out number 2. Beg your pardon, out number 1. There is Mazon stepping up to the plate, the Braidwood, Illinois native. Wonderful personality. 14th start of the season. Has just been spectacular over the past couple of weeks as a steal attempt is successful for Sarah Hodge, as it usually is. Now 9 for 9 on the season. When it comes to stolen base attempts, that's the pressure she puts on you, especially with a freshman pitcher in the circle. You want to try to make her as uncomfortable as possible, and when you're dealing with Mazon and then Hodge on the base paths, not an easy task. As Mazon fouls off that pitch. Just one down and a runner in scoring position. 1-1 count. The pitch from Kane is cranked right back to her, off her glove. Going to be close. Made the play, so down goes Mazon. 2 outs. And Mazon's fellow catcher, Lauren Lamphere, in the cleanup spot, will step up to the plate. Hodge on second base. Lamphere was at third base in game number 1. She's also the backup catcher and has a lot of pop in her bat. It's a really nice 3-4 combination in the Blue Devils lineup between Mazon and Lamphere. Rockford, Michigan native. Takes a rise ball up in the zone. Bottom half of the first, no score. The pitch from Kane is cranked to right field. Hodge will around third. And now the scoring seal is broken as Lawrence Tech takes a 1-0 lead. Something they haven't done very often this season. Again, we talked with Lawrence Tech head coach Karen Baird after game number 1 when LTU went down 4-0 in the 4th inning, and she said, we've been playing behind for most of the year, and that's why we're just used to being in those positions, and essentially we're comfortable being down. But at the end of the day, you'd love to be up, and now they are. 1-0 with 2 outs here in the top of the first, bottom of the first, I should say, after Lamphere's RBI single to right field. Callie Tatum now batting here, showing bunt, pulls it back, takes a drop ball for a strike on the inside corner. Kane now in the driver's seat with an 0-2 count. The pitch, grounded sharply to short. It is in time, but not without a little bit of damage done. Lawrence Tech takes a 1-0 lead by way of a Lauren Lamphere RBI single. We'll step aside on LTSN. Welcome back into LTSN. Lauren Martin leading off the top of the second for the Cardinals. She'll be followed by Sarah Tyrell and Jada Stevenson. Six, seven, 8 hitters in the Cardinals lineup. Again, Clover Brantz in the circle for game number 2. Infield playing in. Martin in a more consistent role this season, the sophomore infielder from Allendale. Good eye there to hold off on that rise ball. Martin saw action in just 3 games last year, which was a shortened season because of the pandemic. However, this year she's already logged a career-high 33 at-bats through 24 games so far this year. Concordia now at 12-12 on the season. And trailing 1-0 after Lamphere's RBI single in the bottom half of the first inning. Lawrence Tech scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 7th to win it after a 2-run RBI single from Haley Mazon got us off to a dramatic start on a beautiful 68-degree afternoon, and Brandt strikes out the first hitter she sees in the top of the second. Again, this is a retooled, new-look pitching staff for LTU this season. Featured 3 seniors and a sophomore last year, all of which moved on. 3 by way of graduation in what was the inaugural class of LTU Softball that graduated after last season. It's a program that began in 2017 under Karen Baird, now in its 5th year in existence, and building each and every year. Obviously, last year was crushing considering how much talent they had. You wanted to see how it would have played out, but they're ready to reload this year as you see the infield playing in once more. This time with Sarah Tyrell at the plate for Concordia, who is a very energetic kid. Speak to the coaching staff and they'll tell you she's the loudest kid in the dugout. Just radiates exuberance, full of life and love. They can move her around the infield. She's got a 2-1 advantage in the count right now. Pops this to left field where Elizabeth Kuhn has to make a long run. It drops down in front of her. A good arm on display, though, to hold Tyrell to a long single.
Now batting for the Cardinals, number 9, Jada Stevenson.
So Jada Stevenson, the lefty, steps up to the plate with one down, and the runner at first is Tyrell, who has speed that you have to keep an eye on. You see Lamphere at third and Leah Kadlitz at first for Lawrence Tech, playing about halfway up the line. And Stevenson is a slapper, and as a lefty, you have an advantage doing that, as your momentum just drags you right up the line. But LTU preparing for it defensively. Brandt in the circle. Blue Devils up 1-0. Lamphere responsible for the lone run so far in this one. Her RBI single in the bottom of the first. It's a 1-2 count in favor of Clover Brandt right now. The pitch, a drop ball just outside. I was watching the pitchers warm up earlier today. They worked on a litany of different pitches, including that drop ball, which is good when you have runners on base and you're trying to keep things on the ground. Went back down low in the zone, hopped off the chest of Brittany Whelan there, right off her glove, recovered, however, not in time, as Stevenson is safe at first, and advancing to second goes Tyrell. Just took an odd hop that time on Brittany Whelan at short. That brings up Carly Kent, sophomore catcher, batting .280, entering today. Such a competitor, just loves to win, in the words of the coaching staff. Again, the infield remains in, which gives you less range with which to work as an infielder. That may have hit her, it did. So all of a sudden, Clover Brandt's in a bit of trouble here as the bases are loaded with one out. Now Karen Baird will head out to try to calm down her freshman pitcher. So the last three batters she has faced have all reached. Brandt entered today with a 2.47 ERA in 17 innings pitched. 1-1 on the season. This is her third start of her collegiate career. You know, that play that was recently kind of ate up Brittany Whelan a bit will certainly remain on her mind. She's a player who just loves perfection and strives for perfection. Obviously not always a realistic case, but she usually is about as close to perfect as you can get. However, that mistake and then a hit by pitch as the bases loaded here, top of the second inning, Blue Devils up 1-0. Carly Pearson steps into a big spot. A power hitter down at the bottom of the lineup for Concordia in a crucial turnover spot in that 9-hole. Abby Begley is on deck at the top of the order. One out for Brandt in the circle. This is cranked foul over the Concordia dugout. Pearson has 6 extra base hits this season. She's driven in 5. Hoping to add on to her totals as the throw down to first. Not quite in time. Scooting back safely there was Stevenson. Clover Brandt, the freshman, trying to wiggle her way out of a jam. It's up and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Count runs full. Kind of a contrast to the first few innings we saw in game number 1, when both pitchers really breezed through the first several hitters they faced. Michaela Benz made the start for Lawrence Tech, while Lauren Reichel made the start for Concordia. Long at bat brewing here, getting Brandt's pitch counts up a bit. Top of the second inning. Already pitch number 41 for Clover Brandt, and is fouled back. And both coaches were very happy to be outside today. You couldn't ask for a better day here in Wixom, Michigan. About 68 degrees and sunny. LTU has played the vast majority of their games indoors so far this season. Little blooper is fair. 1-1 will score, 2 will score, and Concordia takes the lead. 2-1 in the top of the second inning. So coming up big, Carly Pearson, a 2-run RBI single. One of their power hitters landed it in a beautiful spot. A medium left field down by the line, and it just stayed fair. We get a pinch hitter, or pinch runner, I should say. Felicia Borick will come in at first to take the place of Carly Pearson. We oftentimes see her in that situation where they like to utilize her speed along the base paths. So runners at first and second. And after 2 score, Brandt trying to work out of trouble, still just 1 out. Finds a first pitch strike there and a much needed one. Back to the top of the Concordia order. Abby Begley, junior utility player. Pops one up. It should be out number 2. It is. So now Corinne Playford, her second time up to bat. Again, hitting .426 entering today, team best batting average. Laces this to right field, but caught rather easily by Nicole Peruzic to retire the side, but not after Concordia answers back with 2 runs of their own to take their first lead of the afternoon. Cardinals up 2-1. After 1.5 innings of play, we'll head to the bottom of the second when we come back on LTSN. Welcome back into LTSN. Brittany Wieland up to bat for Lawrence Tech. Senior from Alexandria, Virginia, hitting .359 entering today. We talked about her strive for perfection in the words of her head coach, Karen Baird. You can kind of relate that to her engineering mindset. She's a biomedical engineering major and has been a mainstay in the lineup over the past 4 years. Is really excited for her senior campaign. A good eye there. It's Cassidy Kane working towards the opposite side of the plate. 3 balls, 1 strike on Wieland. Kane needs a strike. See what she goes to. Wieland swings at it and cranks it through the 5-6 hole into left field. A single to lead off the bottom of the second for the senior from Alexandria, Virginia. Brings up Aaron Wheeler in the lineup for game number 2. It's a righty-heavy lineup for LTU. One of the lefties at the bottom of the order, Elizabeth Kuhn, has been spectacular so far today throughout the course of 2 games. Had a stand-up double in game number 1 as they'll just move Wieland on to second base there with a little sacrifice bunt. And again, LTU going back to the small ball. Certainly don't mind it with nobody out. That brings up Leah Kadlitz, who has some pop in her bat. She's driven in 5 so far this season. She'll strike out pretty often, but when she connects, typically is hard contact. Kadlitz playing first base today. Alum of Chippewa Valley High School and Clinton Township, Michigan native. Now they'll go out to talk to the freshman Cassidy Kane. Back on the note of Leah Kadlitz, their everyday first baseman so far this season, and really a sponge of knowledge in the words of her head coach, Karen Baird, who she's over chatting with now. Learned a lot from Meredith Adams over the past few years, who graduated after last season. She was the first baseman, a part of that inaugural class I talked about for LTU that came in 2017, and she was such a consummate pro over the past few years. So Kadlitz had some big shoes to step into at first, and she's done just that. Now trying to come up at the plate with a runner in scoring position. That's Wieland, who's advanced to second. 1 down, bottom of the second inning. Concordia up 2-1. Wieland tries to steal third and does. That gets away from them, and Wieland will slide home to tie this game at 2 apiece. The throw got away from Sarah Tyrell at third, and Wieland, a heady base runner, capitalized. We've seen some aggressive play on the base paths so far today from both sides. That knocks us up at 2 apiece, and there are 3 balls and no strikes on Leah Kadlitz. Kane needs a strike and finds it. Now trying to climb her way back into this count. Working pretty quickly. Here comes the 3-1. Kadlitz swings at it and works it foul off to the right. Elizabeth Kuhn on deck for Lawrence Tech. Kane did well to work her way back there after falling down 3-0. found 3 consecutive strikes. And now here is the lefty slapper, Elizabeth Kuhn.
Elizabeth Kuhn.
Again, Kuhn had a stand-up double in game number 1, and then a single to follow that up in the bottom of the 7th that kind of got the party started in the comeback rally. She was one of the runs that scored by way of the Haley Mazon 2-run RBI single to walk things off in game number 1 that gave LTU a 5-4 win to get off to a 1-0 start in WAC play. Kane goes to the drop ball. You can see Kuhn kind of working her way up that line as she typically does. The lefty slapper. Momentum just drags her right up. Here comes the pitch. Just off the outside part of the plate. And it walks Kuhn on 4 pitches. So a good day for Elizabeth Kuhn continues. Again, in that crucial turnover spot as we go back to the top of the order with Sarah Hyde, who more often than not finds herself on base. Hyde entered today with that .533 on base percentage, which is a team best. Her .500 batting average is the second best in the WAC conference. Junior from Northville, Michigan. Nursing major, takes strike 1. Lawrence Tech has one of the best nursing schools in the country, and you see that major spread around the roster. Really throughout a variety of sports at LTU. This is technically a home game for Lawrence Tech here in Wixom. Second different home location they've used so far this year. This is laced into left field, a fly ball caught in routine fashion, though. Play made by Corin Playford, and that will do it for the second inning of play. We're tied up at 2 apiece after Brittany Whelan scores. We'll head to the top of the 3rd when we come back on LTSN. Lefty Emma Perioski up to bat, the first baseman for Concordia, leading off the top half of the 3rd inning. Pitch number 46 of the afternoon from the freshman Clover Brandt is a strike called. I should say a swinging strike. Perioski holds off that time. We mentioned she pitched in high school in addition to playing first base. She was the best hitter on her team as a senior at Southfield Christian, but they also needed her to pitch. And just kind of did everything they asked her to do. Her mom, Rebecca, actually coached her throughout her high school years. I actually had the pleasure of working for Southfield Christian softball during Perioski's senior season. And something I learned about her mom, Rebecca, is that not only is she a wonderful softball coach, but also an amazing cook. She made this cookie cake during Emma's senior year that I tasted, and I was just blown away. It was my first time ever having cookie cake, and I was instantly hooked. So her mom, Rebecca, is one of the best softball moms around, to say the least. Her daughter cranks what should be a base hit, maybe a double. It will be a double into right center field. to lead off the top of the third. The extra base power on display from Emma Peryaski. And talk to the coaching staff about her, and power is the first word that comes to mind. A tough part of the lineup overall, though, for Concordia and for Clover Brandt to face. Shannon McCallendon now steps up to the plate for the Cardinals. She's hitting .328 entering today. Peryaski appears to potentially be injured here. She goes down in that shortstop area, and that would be a big loss for the Cardinals if she is indeed down. Again, entered today hitting .420. Power hitter. Oftentimes she is reaching second or even third base. And such a versatile player for this team and their everyday first baseman. We'll step aside on LTSN. A 2-2 game here in the top of the third. You're watching LTU Softball in your home for Lawrence Tech Athletics. Back here on LTSN with good news for you. Peryaski is up and stays in the game. At second base right now after her leadoff double here in the top of the third inning. 2-2 tie between the Cardinals and the Blue Devils. Clover Brandt, a little over 50 pitches into her outing. Fourth start of the season for the freshman. Bunt laid down. Throw is not in time. The runner's on the corners now. Nobody out, and Brandt facing pressure for the second consecutive inning. Bases were loaded in the top of the second. She was able to work her way out of that, however, surrendered 2 runs. Then Brittany Whelan scored in the bottom of the second to answer back for LTU, the team that struck first today, a position that they have rarely been in today. However, again, quickly surrendered that lead, but now we're tied up at 2 apiece. Top of the third with nobody out. Runners on the corners here. A throw to third, and I believe they got Peryaski. They did, so 1 down. A sensational throw. Lamphere on the receiving end. It was a wonderful play. Kind of stems the tide of the momentum, too. Maybe settles down Clover Brandt and have an out. Runner at second instead of third. Big difference there. No longer a potential run 60 feet away from the plate. And up to bat now for Concordia is Lauren Martin, the sophomore infielder from Allendale, Michigan, who's hitting .303 this season. Again, in a far more consistent role this season. Her second time up to bat. The pitch. Little screwball off the outside part of the plate. Good eye there from Martin. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Lofted into left. Elizabeth Kuhn reaches up and makes a nice catch. And they're able to hold the runner at second. And Kuhn getting it done offensively and defensively today for the Blue Devils. Kuhn reached first by way of a 4-pitch walk during her last at-bat. And up to bat next here for Concordia. And Sarah Tyrell, a freshman, again brings such a level of energy to the Concordia dugout. And her teammates respond accordingly. They called her the loudest player in the dugout, which is a tall task because there's a lot of noise coming from that Concordia side. Something that you just love about the game of softball, right, is the energy, the camaraderie, the pageantry, the spirit. Tie game. 2-2 here in the top of the third with 2 down. Clover Brandt at one point in this frame had runners on the corners with nobody out. Then they were able to pick off Emma Perioski at third. Kind of cooled the momentum a bit for the Cardinals. Tyrell, the number 7 hitter in the Concordia lineup, takes the ball inside. Leah Kadlitz at first for LTU. Sarah Hyde at second. Brittany Wieland at short. Lauren Lamphere at third. Clover Brandt in the circle. Mazon behind the dish. That's a walk. And it'll put a runner at first in the form of Sarah Tyrell. So now the lefty, Jada Stevenson. As Brandt has a word with Mazon, her very passionate catcher. Making back-to-back starts in this doubleheader behind the dish. Feels like Mazon's leadership, it's very senior-esque. However, still just a junior. And it feels like she's been around for a minute. But again, stepping into the place that Alex Amos, who graduated after last season, held for a few seasons. And Amos, again, you talk about consummate pros. Her name is in that mix. She was such a leader for Lawrence Tech at catcher during her tenure. Was a good hitter as well. This is belted to left center field and deep. It'll hop over the fence. This will score 2 runs as Concordia takes a 4-2 advantage on the ground rule double. Elizabeth Kuhn tracked that one back all the way to the fence. They'll put the runner back at third, so 3-2 will remain the score as opposed to 4-2. And Brandt will give way to Michaela Benz. So an early change here. 62 pitches for Clover Brandt. And fought her way through the second after surrendering 2. Then things got a little scratchy again here in the third. Overall, though, pretty good outing for the freshman, and we are 3-2 now in favor of Concordia here in the top of the third inning with 2 outs. And again, in comes Benz, who went into the 4th inning of game number 1 after she was pulled, surrendered the 3-run homer that made it 4-0 at one point for Concordia before LTU battled back. The Ontario, Canada native warming up, right-hander. 41 innings pitched so far this season for Benz. Made her 6th start of the year in game number 1. Now in a relief role here in game number 2.
Now pitching for the Blue Devils, number 0, Michaela Benz. And back to the Cardinals, number 5, Carly Kemp.
Carly Kentz in the 9-hole will step up to bat. As Concordia hopes to turn over the lineup. If they do, they could stretch to what is a 3-2 lead right now. Kent shows bunt, pulls back, first pitch, called strike. Nice job from Benz here to quickly get up 0-2 in the count. His first pitch strikes are so important. Tries to expand the strike zone there. A lot of movement on her pitches, similar to Brandt's. I watched Michaela Benz in warm-ups earlier today. As that change-up, rise ball, drop ball, fastball mix quickly makes easy work of Carly Kentz. Auspicious start for Benz in the Sturkle in relief. However, 3-2 in favor of the Cardinals after 2.5 innings of play here in Wixom, Michigan. We'll step aside on LTSN. Concordia up 3-2 to the bottom of the third we go. Leading off the bottom of the third for Lawrence Tech, Nicole Peruzic swings the first pitch to short. Routine play. Good to see Perioski at first, by the way, after she went down in the top half of the third. So quickly one down for Cassidy Kane. Freshman making the start today for Concordia in game number 2. The pitch, this is laced to right field. Lawrence Tech has been aggressive on the first pitch today. Mazon's blast, her 4th homer of the season, is a team-leading home run number 4, and it ties the game at 3 apiece. Just absolutely turns on the first pitch she saw. It's her 2nd home run of the afternoon if you combine game number 1. Didn't take long. So now Lauren Lamphere will step up to the plate. That dangerous 3-4 combination, Mazon-Lamphere in the LTU lineup. Lamphere takes the first pitch strike from Kane. And the cleanup spot. 0-1. Swung on. Long run in right field. This will be a base hit for Lamphere, as Lauren Martin couldn't quite catch up to it. Now Callie Tatum trying to continue the momentum. Hits from each of the first two batters in the bottom of the third for LTU. Tatum tried to move Lamphere over to second. It's foul, though. Nobody out. Mazon led off the inning. One down, beg your pardon. Mazon's fourth home run of the season. The most electrifying part of this third inning so far. And it's tied us up at 3 apiece. These two teams have played each other very tightly so far today. Game number 1 was decided 5-4 in the bottom of the 7th by way of a Mazon 2-run RBI single. It has been Mazon magic over the past couple of weekends for Lawrence Tech. Last weekend against Georgetown College, it was a 7-6 victory in extra innings for LTU. Mazon's home run in the top of the 8th of that game decided it 7-6. Today, she's right back at it. Tatum lays down the bunt. Lamphere is to second, and Tatum's retired, but got the job done to move the runner into scoring position. And now Brittany Wieland will step up to the plate. Senior from Alexandria, Virginia. .692 slugging percentage so far this season and has been very good with runners in scoring position. Making her 15th start of the year in the lineup. Lawrence Tech now 8-6 on the season. 1-0 in conference play. This is conference opening day in the WAC, and pleasure to have you with us on LTSN for it. Cassidy Canes 0-1. Drop ball taken that time by Wieland. Counts even at 1 apiece. Lamphere, the runner in scoring position at second. With Lamphere's speed, a base hit could certainly drive her home. Lawrence Tech led 1-0 to kick this game off in the bottom half of the first, and then Concordia answered back with 2 runs of their own in the top of the second. Wieland, who's at the plate right now, scored in the bottom of the second to tie it up at 2 apiece. Now we're 3-all. And that will do it for the third inning. So 3 apiece after 3. You're watching college softball on LTSN. Carly Pearson leading off the top of the 4th for the Cardinals. Takes the ball to go up 1-0 in the count against Michaela Benz, the right-hander who is working in relief of her fellow freshman Clover Brandt, who had a 62-pitch outing today before she was pulled in the 3rd. Benz, just a few pitches into this outing, was very efficient when she came in with runners on base. 3-3 game. It's a 3-ball count, though, right now for Benz, who's trying to claw her way back here against Pearson, who is a power hitter with a batting average of .333 entering today, 6 extra base hits. A little tapper to short. Easy work that time for Wieland. Over to Cadlitz, 1 down. That's the kind of defense that, as a pitcher in the circle, and especially as a freshman, knowing you can trust the girls behind you, which LTU has done so well in recent years, just adds all the more confidence. Abby Begley at the top of the order steps up to the plate. Right-handed hitter for Concordia against the right-handed pitcher for Lawrence Tech, Michaela Benz, who gets her swinging on pitch number 1 of this at-bat. 1 down here, top of the 4th, tie game, 3 apiece. Game number 2 of this doubleheader between Concordia and Lawrence Tech. High chopper over the glove of Lamphere, then it squeaks out of the grasp of Wieland at short. And reaching safely is Begley, as she usually does. I mentioned Lawrence Tech's pitching and defense, which has certainly been an asset in recent years. You look back to the last full season of WAC play in softball that was played in 2019. Lawrence Tech had the best team ERA in the conference at 1.91. Now this is an entirely new pitching staff this season, as pitch number 1 is a strike called. But it kind of shows you the reputation that LTU has built up in the circle. Again, though, replacing 3 seniors that were part of a very good pitching staff a season ago for the Blue Devils. Concordia dugout trying to implore Carly Pearson to a hit. With the runner at first. That's Begley, the leadoff hitter, here at the top of the Concordia lineup. And to get back into the conversation of that pitching staff in recent years for Lawrence Tech, you think of players like Alexa Cherney, Brittany Bolt, Sydney Schultz. All were seniors a season ago, had their senior campaigns unfortunately cut short, however, still made their own respective impacts. Michaela Benz replaces Brittany Bolt as a new Canadian pitcher for LTU. Bolt just did it all, though, for Lawrence Tech. I don't know if you can really kind of brush her with the stroke of just a pitcher, because she was seemingly always on base. This is laced right at Lamphere, who was playing in, didn't have a lot of range there, and runners are at first and second now after the liner from Carly Pearson results in a hit. So back-to-back hits against Benz. One down for Benz, who's working in relief of Brandt. And Emma Perioski, who is affectionately known as Pierogi in the Concordia dugout, will step up to the plate. Important first pitch strike there. Got her swinging. Pieroski doubled her last time up to bat. A power hitter, if there ever was one, hitting .420 entering today. Her mom, Rebecca, who I mentioned coached her in high school at Southfield Christian, is in attendance today. Perioski just has such good mechanics that she works on day in and day out. Been a hard worker ever since her high school days at Southfield Christian. Goes down swinging there, though. Big strikeout for Benz after consecutive hits against her. Brings up Shannon McCallendon. On the flip side, a freshman in the lineup for Concordia. 5-game hit streak entering today, hoping to extend it. Runners at first and second, 2 down. This will advance the runners on what may go down as a passed ball. Haley Mazon behind the plate today for Lawrence Tech has already homered once, something we might not be saying for the last time about Haley Mazon. That was her team best 4th home run of the season and her 2nd home run of the day, if you include the firsts of this 2-game set on a beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Wixom, Michigan, between Concordia and LTU. One ball, one strike with runners in scoring position. Top of the 4th inning. 3-3 game between Concordia and LTU. Outfield playing McCallendon just about straight up. A pull hitter most of the time. Swings and lofts this one high into foul ground. Lamphere was trying to track it down in the sun right in front of the LTU dugout, but couldn't quite find it. Would have been a big catch had she made it. Two balls, 2 strikes now on the cleanup hitter for Concordia. She has Lauren Martin on deck, who has been very consistent this year. The pitch from Benz loops back through the middle. This will score 1 run and 2. Concordia takes a 5-3 lead in the top half of the 4th on a sliding double off the bat. That time of Pearson. Beg your pardon, McCallendon, responsible for what is now a 5-3 advantage for the Cardinals here in the top of the 4th. Brings up Lauren Martin. Benj tries to reset, calm down, and recalculate. After the liner to right center field did some damage. Benj is working on her drop ball in warm-ups. That one wasn't grasped in time by Mazon, and advancing to third goes the runner Martin. So runner now at third now for Concordia. Much needed strike called. Found the outside corner. 1-2 the count. That'll dribble foul. McCallendon at third. Change up, it was beautiful. A much-needed strike called. Benz amped up with energy as she closes out the inning. Not without damage, though. A 2-run shot to right field makes it a 5-3 game in favor of Concordia. We'll head to the bottom of the 4th when we come back on LTSN. Welcome back to LTSN. We're 5-3 now in favor of Concordia here in the bottom of the fourth. Aaron Wheeler swings at the first pitch from Cassidy Kane. Quickly up 0-2 in the count on Wheeler, who is in the lineup for game 2. LTU gave up 2 unearned runs in that top half of the fourth. That's the separation right now. Perioski calls for it and makes the catch at first. 1 down, as now Leah Kadlitz, the first baseman, steps up to the plate for LTU. LTU found themselves down in game number 1, trailing 4-0 at this stage of the game. Fought back with a run that was scored, followed by a 3-run homer from Haley Mazon to tie it, and then ultimately won 5-4 in the bottom of the 7th off a game-winning walk-off 2-run RBI single from Mazon. The junior catcher has done it all today. Kadlitz, the bouncer to short, unable to get handled cleanly that time by Kentz, and Kadlitz will reach safely. Brings up Elizabeth Kuhn, who was a key part of that Game 1 comeback. Had a stand-up double in the 5th inning that kind of started the rally party to get LTU back from down 4-0 at one point. Kuhn also had a single in the 7th, and then she was driven home by Mazon to score one of those 2 runs that ultimately won the game for Lawrence Tech. Kuhn, lefty slapper, pulls back in time. And want Kane to attack the strike zone, still trying to do that deep into this inning. And both runners will be safe. Couple of infield mishaps have led to success for Lawrence Tech. Here in the bottom of the 4th, Blue Devils down 5-3, but runners on first and second with nobody out. Pitch count. '56th pitch of the day for Kane. The bunt is down, and I believe she is safe at first. So now bases loaded with nobody out. Beautifully executed small ball. It advances the runners and turns the lineup over. That was Sarah Hyde, by the way, who reaches base safely for the 2nd time in game number 2. And now Nicole Peruzic in the number 2 spot in the lineup. Cassidy Kane in real trouble. LTU down 5-3. And Peruzic in a spot to capitalize. Head coach Karen Baird felt that hit Nicole Peruzic, and it did. Coach Baird walked out right away, and I said, I thought I heard it hit something. And it certainly did. So LT will score a run by way of the hit by pitch. 5-4 now is the Concordia lead, and still nobody out with the bases loaded. Haley Mazon, just who you would like to have at the plate with the bases loaded, and nobody out. will make her way into the right-handed batter's box. Mazon had a 2-run homer, a 3-run homer in game number 1, and a solo home run earlier in this game. Four homers this season. More often than not, she at least gets on base for you if it isn't extra bases. Hitting .366 entering today through 41 at-bats. Just such a good understanding of the strike zone. All she needs here is a single to score a run and tie this game potentially. That'll bring up a pitching change for Concordia. Kate Elias, the right-hander from Oak Forest, Illinois, will make her way in after 57 pitches on the day for Cassidy Kane, the freshman who will give way here. Welcome back to LTSN. Haley Mazon steps into a big spot. 1 out. Her team trailing 5-4. Bottom of the 4th inning. It was the first pitch of the afternoon from Kate Elias, who is now working in relief of Cassidy Kane, who had a 57-pitch outing that fell apart here in the bottom of the 5th. Mazon, we'll say she went around there. Strike called. Again, all she needs is a base hit here to tie up the game. Pitch from Elias. Drop ball in the dirt. Mazon ahead in the count. 2 balls, 1 strike. The 2-1 is foul behind the bag. When she comes up to bat, you can't resist smiling because you're just on the edge of your seat awaiting to see what might happen next. What's been a rally of a bottom half of the 4th was started by Sarah Hyde, the leadoff hitter for Lawrence Tech, who typically gets things going. This is lofted to right center field. Long run made, and the catch is made. Runners will tag. Kuhn scores, and we are tied at 5 apiece. So the sac fly for Mazon gets the job done. Runners in scoring position still at 2nd and 3rd with the cleanup hitter, Lanphier, stepping in, and she'll have a chat with her fellow catcher Haley Mazon prior to facing Elise Cassidy. So 5-all now. Back and forth we go. Say Lanphier. Did she hold up? She did. Lawrence Tech opening it off to a 2-0 start in WAC play. Have clawed their way back from 2 deficits so far today. They trailed 2-1 earlier, then trailed 5-3. Now it's 5-5. Haley Mazon's sac fly scored the run to tie, or scored, I should say, Elizabeth Kuhn, which tied the game. Lamphere now in the cleanup spot with runners on second and third, 2 down. That's a strike called. Beautiful movement on that pitch. And Elias did well to keep it in the strike zone. Opponents hitting .330 off Elias so far this season, entering today through 25 innings pitched, a 3.64 ERA, which is the highest ERA on the Concordia staff. Lamphere reaches out and just pokes one to first. That'll do it. However, LTU ties the game, so they get the job done to fight their way back. Entertaining matchup, game 2 of 2 on a Saturday doubleheader between Lawrence Tech and Concordia. We'll step aside, 5-all on LTSN. Michaela Benz back in the circle here in the top of the 5th for Lawrence Tech, the one they like to call Benzie. Native of Ontario, Canada, general business major, in relief today. Now for fellow freshman Clover Brandt, who got the start, went 62 pitches before being pulled in the 3rd. Ben's facing Sarah Tyrell here, who is a consistent hitter at the plate for this Concordia team. Entered today hitting a shade under 300. Such a lovable character on the Concordia roster. All of her teammates kind of gravitate towards her. Screwball from Benz soars out of the zone. 3 balls, 1 strike. So Tyrell in the driver's seat here, leading off the top half of the 5th. The pitch is swung on and bounced foul. Ben's one of 3 freshman pitchers on the Lawrence Tech staff this season. A retooled pitching staff, as we noted earlier in the broadcast, replacing 3 seniors from a year ago. This one bounces right back to the native of Ontario, Canada, and she throws to her first baseman, Leah Cadlitz, for an easy out. Concordia team fell to 12-12 on the year, 0-1 in conference play after the Game 1 loss. In the number 7 spot in the lineup, Jada Stevenson, very athletic player. A lot of speed on the base paths when she does reach. native of Washington, Michigan. 1 out here. Top of the 5th, 5-5 game. These teams were tied 4-4 heading into the 7th in game 1. It's a ball inside and a walk registered into the stat sheet for Michaela Benz. Second time Benz has walked a hitter on a Saturday afternoon. Mazon behind the plate for LTU. At third, Lauren Lamphere, Brittany Wieland at short, Sarah Hyde at second, Leah Kadlitz at first as usual. Nicole Peruzic in right field today. Callie Tatum in center and Elizabeth Kuhn in lefts. I think they were checking on Mazon there, who might have been hit, but as usual, a smile on her face. The entire team was so pumped up for her after the walk-off single in game 1. Now she'll reset. Tough character. Settles right back down behind home plate. Bottom of the order in the 9 spot, Carly Kent. Showed bunt, foul. One out. So Kent in a spot to move the runner over, tries to do so. That dies foul. Mazon thought about throwing down to first there. Stevenson kind of clawed her way back in time. Mazon has a really strong arm behind the plate. Pitch from Benz is bounced foul. And 2 balls, 2 strikes, even count here on Carly Kent. Stevenson, the runner at first. Pitch number 49 of the afternoon in relief for Michaela Benz. Is fouled off once again. Long at bat working here from Carly Kent. At first, according to the coaching staff for Lawrence Tech, it was a hard transition initially for the pitcher Michaela Benz in the circle right now. Coming into a new country during a pandemic. She had to quarantine when she came back in January, but really started to find her own in the early stages of winter. Has bought into LTU Softball. And has appeared beyond her years from a work ethic standpoint. I saw that firsthand in warm-ups today. Worked on her changeup, which is a pitch that most coaches would tell you is so important, probably the second pitch you want to learn after the fastball, and a pitch you can really throw at any count. We've seen that out of her today. The drop ball as well to induce the soft contact with runners on base is something she likes to work on. Went low in the zone there, and it drew a foul off to the right. A little over 50 pitches now in relief, and you add that on to her start in game 1. You wonder where she is right now from a fatigue standpoint. Rise ball is high, unable to find the strike zone. unable to draw a swing, most importantly, on that rise ball, and runners now at first and second. Madison Shoemaker has also been utilized today, the lefty for Lawrence Tech. You wonder if she might start warming up. Another freshman from Grand Haven, Michigan, out in the western part of the state. Five apiece right now, though, so the pitching does start to get interesting in game number 2. How much longer do they keep Benz in? Rejoin the action, 1 out here. That pitch is high. Top of the 5th inning, and that, if it not, maybe it won't do it for Michaela Benz, but they're going to at least go out and have a chat with her to try to settle things down here. We noted she made the game 1 start. Now a little over 50 pitches into her relief outing here in game 2. Clover Brandt made the start today for Lawrence Tech. And she went 52 pitches. Benz has been in the circle since the late stages of the top of the 3rd inning. The .212 batting average, opponent batting average on Benz this season is the lowest on the LTU pitching staff. She has done well to work out of jams when she has faced situations like this. High leverage outs, to say the least, right now. Little dribbler. Benz will take care of it herself, or the play at first gets past Cadlitz, and scoring will be Jada Stevenson to give Concordia the lead in the top of the 5th. That was Hyde who had to move over to first to cover the bag after Cadlitz was playing in. So now we talked about Madison Shoemaker potentially coming in, and that is going to be the case. She'll take over from Michaela Benz. Concordia now with a 6-5 lead with 1 out in the top of the 5th. LTU's trailed twice today and come back on both occasions. However, runners on the corners here. And with 2 outs still to work, a sac fly, theoretically, or a sac bunt could give you a 2-run cushion if you're Concordia. Shoemaker's first pitch is a strike called. Throw down to second, not in time. So a base is swiped, and now both runners are in scoring position for Concordia. Shoemaker's used to situations like this. Entered in relief of Michaela Benz in game number 1 today. Diving play from Cadlitz. Couldn't quite get there. right in front of the Concordia dugout. Infield playing very much in. Lamphere, the third baseman, playing about halfway up the line, while Kadlitz, the first baseman, playing about halfway up the line at first. They have been burned on that once already, though, in this inning. Grounded sharply to short. Whelan trying to corral it. Throw is in time. However, the run will score to give Concordia that aforementioned 2-run cushion, so it is 7-5 now in favor of the Cardinals with 2 outs here in the top of the 5th, and a runner still on third. Corin Playford steps up to the plate. Her name is spelled Koryn. People oftentimes mispronounce it. I was on the phone with the coaching staff earlier today, and I'll have to admit to accidentally doing that. And they kind of jokingly told me that her nickname has become Corn, like the food corn, because people just call her Corn so often. Now she's embraced it. If there's a food to embrace, I'd say corn is a pretty delightful one and a healthy one. Good pregame meal. More importantly, though, than her wonderful nickname is the fact that she's hitting .426 and has a .466 on-base percentage. Hoping to drive home what could be run number 8 that's represented at third base right now. Michaela Shoemaker, the third pitcher we've seen so far today for Lawrence Tech. Left-hander out of Grand Haven, Michigan. 33 innings pitched entering today. To short. Play is in time to retire the side. Much needed out. Concordia, though, scores 2 in the top half of the 5th. Cardinals are up 7-5 as we head to the bottom of the 5th inning on LTSN. More drama coming your way on your home for LTU Athletics. No lead has been safe this afternoon. Lawrence Tech's trailed twice. They've come back twice. Now trailing for a third time, down 7-5 in the bottom of the 5th as Callie Martin takes strike 1. Kate Elias in relief of Cassidy Kane. Opponents hitting .330 off Elias so far this season. Right-hander delivers a rise ball well out of the zone to even up the count at 1 apiece. Callie Tatum, another player with a really good understanding of the strike zone. One hopper to third. Nice throw across the infield. Perioski on the receiving end. Again, good to see Emma Perioski back at first after she was injured earlier in the game back in the second inning. Perioski has a double today offensively and a very good defender at first. Gina Barber pinch hitting. Little grounder back to the mound. Beg your pardon, that was Brittany Wieland. 2 down. Infield busy early in the 5th and doing some good work for their pitcher, Kate Elias. Snap to bat, Aaron Wheeler. Quick 2 outs is just what Kate Elias needed here in the bottom of the 5th for Concordia. And Lawrence Tech opening it off to a 2-0 start in WAC play after their dramatic Game 1 win today. Working their way down the lineup, Leah Kadlitz and Elizabeth Kuhn will potentially follow. However, 2 outs now. Bottom of the order has been very good so far today for LTU. The 6, 7, 8, and 9 hitters have all produced, especially in the 9 spot with Elizabeth Kuhn, who, dating back to Game 1, had a double and a big single in the bottom of the 7th for Lawrence Tech, a game that LTU ultimately won 5-4. Blue Devils trail 7-5 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th. We'll say she went around, and that'll do it for 5 innings of play. We'll head to the top of the 6th after a quick 1-2-3 frame worked by Kate Elias. She'll probably credit her defense, though, for that efficient work. We'll step aside on LTSN. Emma Perioski leading off the top of the 6th for Concordia. Swings the first pitch from Shoemaker. Spot like this, trying to hang on to a 7-5 lead if you're Concordia. Emma Perioski is one they call everything you need in a team leader. One of their captains, a senior. If you can, you'd like to have runners on base when she's at the plate because she just has so much power. But any way she can get on, she'll take it. Actually had a double with nobody on the bases earlier in this game. I'll say she went around there. So 1 ball, 2 strikes. Shoemaker ahead of the count, looking for a quick first out. Just off the outside of the plate that time. Shoemaker has a curveball that she works with. That might have been it there. 2-2 count now. Was working on that curveball prior to Game 1 today. Goes to the rise ball that time, and Perioski, who is such a disciplined hitter, able to run the count full. The payoff pitch, swung on. Appeal down to first, strike called, to the chagrin of the Concordia dugout and to the delight, by contrast, on the Lawrence Tech side. One down and a warning on the Concordia dugout after they weren't pleased with the call from what was an appeal down to first there. Brings up Shannon McCallendon after what felt like a big first out in the top of the sixth for Madison Shoemaker. Lawrence Tech down 7-5. McCallendon able to watch ball one, a drop ball that is low in the zone there. Strike called, more movement on that pitch from Shoemaker. McCallendon has been prolific at the plate this season. She's driven home 14, hitting .328 entering today. Mentioned she entered today on a 5-game hit streak that is extended to now 6 games. Shoemaker working really all quadrants of the strike zone here. 2 balls, 1 strike. Dugout imploring on their freshman hitter McCallendon. Shoemaker gets another strike. Now we're even at 2 apiece. Shoemaker entered this relief outing with runners in scoring position. Obviously nobody on here, and just a certain level of calm that comes with that, especially when you get a quick first out in a big spot. And she was able to get it against one of the best hitters in the conference in Emma Perioski. Bouncer over top the glove of Shoemaker, dribbles past Wieland, and a single with 1 out will put a runner on base in the form of McCallendon. Brings up Lauren Martin, who had a lining double to right center field earlier in this game that scored a run. Throw down to first was close. We'll step aside on LTSN. Again, Concordia 5 here in the top of the 6th. Welcome back into LTSN. Infield playing very in. Again, Lamphere at third, about halfway up the line. Leah Cadlitz at first, about halfway up the line. With a runner at first and one out here in the top of the sixth. Lauren Martin evidently trying to move the runner over as Concordia seeks to extend their two-run cushion. Lauren Martin, the Avondale, Michigan native, lays down the sack bunt and gets the job done. Runner advances into scoring position. So now up to bat is Sarah Tyrell, who's hitting .286 this season. 2 outs now. Shoemaker in search of a monumental third here. 21st pitch from Shoemaker in relief is lined to right field. They'll put the stop sign at third, so nobody scores. However, there are runners on the corners. Nice throw from Nicole Peruzic to just keep Concordia honest and keep the runner at third. Again, Shoemaker still in search of what would be a big third out. As the lefty Jada Stevenson steps up to the plate. Swings the first pitch. Second base is stolen by Tyrell. So runners at second and third now with 2 outs. Concordia half of the sixth. Blue Devils will be up to bat next with 6 outs left to work. That is if they can get this out. Bounce to second. Underhand flip to Cadlitz does it. So Lawrence Tech gets out of the runners in scoring position jam unscathed. Up comes a big bottom half of the sixth on LTSN. Concordia up 7-5.